Hello, everybody. So we're going to continue with lesson 7.3, the independent practice. We're on page 190 of the sixth grade Go Math textbook. And so I was doing some work here on number 8. It says, what is a conversion factor that you can use to convert gallons to pints? Well, if we look at our table of equivalent ratios and proportions, we notice that gallons do not have a direct relationship with pints. But could we create a conversion factor that would work for a gallon and pints? Well, if we start with 1 gallon and we say that in 1 gallon there are 4 quarts, right? And then if we say 1 quart, well, that's 2 pints, right? Well, we could divide out the quarts, and that would leave us 1 gallon times 1, which is 1 gallon, and 4 times 2 pints would be 8 pints. So the conversion factor could be 1 gallon is to 8 pints. Okay, all right. So number 9, 3 friends each have some ribbon. Carol has 42 inches of ribbon. Tino has 2.5 feet of ribbon, and Baxter has 1.5 yards of ribbon. Express the total length of ribbon the 3 friends have in inches, in feet, and in yards. Okay, so let's look at Carol, and let's change hers 42 inches to feet. Okay, so we know that 12 inches is the same as 1 foot. And she has 42 inches. So we have to figure out, how did they go from 12 to 42? Well, the easiest way to do that is to divide 42 by 12. All right, and we notice that it's 3 and 6/12, which is the same as 3 and 1/2. So they multiplied by 3.5, right? 5/10 is half. So multiply the feet by 3.5. And so Carol has 42 inches and 3.5 feet. Okay, well, we already know that Tino has 2.5 feet. So if we found Baxter's number of feet, we should be able to figure out all the rest of these, right? So let's do that. So Baxter has 1.5 yards, and we want to know how many feet that is. Well, we know there's 3 yards. I'm sorry. In 1 yard, there are 3 feet, right? So how do you go from 1 to 1.5? Well, that's just multiplying by 1.5. So 3 times 1.5 is 4.5. So Baxter has 4.5 feet. All right, so what is their total number of feet? Well, 15, 7, 9, 10. 10.5 feet for all 3 of them. So we can write that in. All right, now we can also go use that number, because we know that 1 foot is 12 inches, and they have 10.5 feet. So how many inches is that? Well, how do you go from 1 to 10? Multiply by 10.5. So multiply 12 by 10.5. So 10.5 times 12. (126 inches). Right, and now how many yards are in 10.5 feet? Well, we know 1 yard is 3 feet. And we know we have 10.5 feet. So how many yards is that? How do you go from 10.5, from 3 to 10.5? You multiply by 3.5. So 1 times 3.5, 3.5 yards as a group. 3.5 yards as a group. Right, number 10. Susanna wants to measure a board, but she doesn't have a ruler to measure with. However, she does have several copies of a book that she knows is 17 centimeters tall. So Susanna lays the books end to end and finds that the board is the same length as 21 books. How many centimeters long is the board? Well, in this case, we can say one book is equal to 17 centimeters. So how long is 21 books? Well, that would be times 21, right? So 17 times 21. 357 centimeters. Susanna needs a board that is at least 3.5 meters long. Is the board long enough? Well, how many centimeters are in 3.5 meters? That's basically what we have to find out. So let's see. 1 meter is the same as 100 centimeters. So if 1 meter is 100 centimeters, then 1 times 3.5 is 3.5 meters. And 100 times 3.5 is 350 centimeters. So she needs a board that's 350 centimeters long. Yes, she does have enough. Okay, so 350 centimeters is less than 357. We basically also say that she has a board that's 3.5 meters and she needs a board that's 3.5 meters and she has 3.57 meters. So she has a little bit more than she needs. All right, number 11. Sheldon needs to buy 8 gallons of coleslaw for a family reunion. The table shows the prices for different sizes of 2 brands of coleslaw. Use the table for exercises 11 and 12. All right, which size container of brand A coleslaw is the better deal for Sheldon? All right, so we have $2.50 for 1 pint, $4.50 for 8 quarts. Okay, so let's change the pints. Let's change the number of gallons into pints. Okay, so let's start 8 gallons. And on number 8, when we first started this lesson, we found that 1 gallon was equivalent to 8 pints. So let's just go ahead and start there. So he's going to need 64 pints for $2.50 each. So let's see how much that's going to cost him. All right, so size A, the small size will cost him $160. Okay, because there was 64 pints in 8 gallons. And you can buy 1 pint for $2.50. So let's multiply that, and we got $160. Okay, now this other one was $4.50 for 1 quart. So again, we're going to have 8 gallons. And we're going to multiply that by 1 gallon is the same as 4 quarts. Well, gallons can be divided out, leaving us 32 quarts. And 32 times 450. Okay. Every quart is $4.50. So $144 for the large size. Okay, so which one's a better deal? The large size. Okay, so $144 is less than $160 for the pint size. All right, which size and brand of coleslaw is the best deal? Okay, so if we change these all to pints, we'll find out which one's the cheaper deal, right? So let's convert $4.25 for 1 quart into pints. Okay, so what we're basically saying is let's get them all to be per pint. Okay, so we have 1 quart is how many pints? Well, that's 2 pints, right? 2 pints in a quart. So 425 divided by 2. Okay, so 2.125, so that's about $2.13 per pint. So right now, you should buy brand B, small size, because it's less per pint. Okay, again, we have $4.50 this time for 2, and we know again that it's going to be 2 pints, so $4.50 divided by 2. That's going to be $2.25 per pint. Okay, so still brand B is cheaper at $2.13. Now $9.50. Well, we know there's 8 pints in a gallon from our previous work. So let's take $9.50 and divide by 8. Okay, so it's cost us $9.50 per gallon, and we know that there's 8 pints in a gallon. Okay, so 1.1875, if we round up, it would be $1.19 per pint. So, what is the best deal? What size and brand of coleslaw is the best deal? Brand B, large size, is the best buy. Could we have changed these to gallons and compared it that way? Sure. Could we have changed it to quarts? Yeah. Just as long as the unit that you're comparing is all the same. So $1.19 is the cheapest price. All right, let's look at 13. In Beijing in 2008, the women's 3,000 meters steeplechase became an Olympic event. What is this distance in kilometers? Okay. So we know that 1,000 meters is the same as 1 kilometer. So they want to know how many meters, how many kilometers are in 3,000 meters. Well, if I multiply 1,000 by 3, I get 3,000. So multiply 1 by 3, and we get 3 kilometers. All right, number 14. How would you convert 5 feet 6 inches to 5 feet 6 inches 2 inches? Well, I would change 5 feet into inches. So that's what I would do. I would change the feet into inches and then just add the 6 inches. So 5 times 12 is 60 plus 6. So 66 inches. All right, 15. A quarter horse often excels at running races of 1/4 mile or less. How many feet is that? Okay, so 1/4 mile times how many feet in 1 mile? 5,280 feet. If you're haven't quite memorized that yet, just use the conversion chart. Okay, and 1,760 yards times 3 is 5,280. All right, so the miles can be divided out, leaving us 1/4 times 5,280. So divide by 4. $1,320 feet. 16. A bird's wingspan is the distance from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. A California condor can have a wingspan of 9.5 feet. A bee hummingbird can have a wingspan of 2.5 inches. How much longer is the California condor's wingspan than the bee hummingbirds? Well, I'm not going to convert 2.5 inches into feet. It's easier to go 9.5 feet into inches. So I'm going to write 9.5 feet and convert that into inches. But the feet can be divided out, so 9.5 times 12. So 114 inches. So 114 minus 2.5. 114 minus 2.5 is 111.5 inches longer. 17. A California condor can have a mass of 13 kilograms. A bee hummingbird can have a mass of 1.6 grams. How many times great as the bee hummingbird's mass is the California condor? Okay, so right now we don't have the same units, so let's change the 13 kilograms into grams. So 13 kilograms, and there's 1,000 grams in every kilogram. The kilograms can divide out, leaving us 13,000 grams. Well, if we divide 13,000 grams by 1.6 grams, that'll tell us how many times greater the California condor is, its weight. Okay, so we know that if we multiply 1.6 by 10, we'd move the decimal point one place to the right. Okay, so 8,125 times greater. Three friends recorded the distance from each of their homes to the park using different units. The distances are shown in the table. So miles, yards, feet. All right, so who lives closest to the park? Who lives farthest? Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and convert everything to feet. Okay, so 2,640 yards. And we know that there are 3 feet in every yard. So 2,640 times 3. So 7,920 feet. And 1 3/4 mile. That's the same as 1.75 miles. And we know that every mile has 5,280 feet. Okay, so 5,280 times 1.75. $6,120. No, that can't be right. I'm hesitating here on this one because it just doesn't seem like the right number because this is almost 2 miles, right? So it should be about 10,000 feet. So let's see what I did wrong. So 1.75 times 5,280. 5 times 0, 8 times 5, 40, 14, 26. Okay, 0, 0. So that should be 19. And that should be 36. 200,825. $9,240. And we left Jim as the same. So who lives closest to the park? Well, Julio does. Who lives farthest? Jim. Okay. Clark says he lives less than half as far from the park as Jim does. So if we take half of 1700 and 160, okay, that'll tell us what half is, right? So 8,580 feet is halfway. Clark says he lives less than half. No, he lives more than half. Okay. So we took half of Jim's distance, which would be 8,580. So if he was less than half, he'd have to have a number smaller than that. And he doesn't. His number is 9,240. Okay. All right, let's look at 19. Sophie bought a water fountain for her cat. The cat fountain holds 50 fluid ounces of water. To fill it, Sophie uses a jar that holds 1 pint. How many times must she fill the jar to fill the fountain completely? Will she have water left in the jar? How much? And explain. All right, so 50 fluid ounces into pints. Well, we don't have that direct relationship right there, right? So we're going to have to do some converting. So let's start with 50 fluid ounces. And what is a direct relationship that fluid ounces has? Well, we know that 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces. And we know that there are 2 cups per 1 pint. Okay, so the ounces can be divided out, the cups can be divided out, and we're left with pints. So we're left with 50 divided by 16. So how many times is she going to have to fill it? Okay, so I can take 3/16 from 50, leaving me with a remainder of 2. So 3 and 2/16 times, or 3 and 1/8 times she has to fill it. So she's going to have to fill the cup 4 times, or the jar 4 times. Okay, is she going to have water left in the jar? Yes. She'll have 1 3/4 cup left over. Because if we take 1/8, if we take 1/8 pint That's how much is left over. And we know that 1 pint is 2 cups. How much is she going to have left over? Oh, I'm sorry. Focus, Mr. Hammond, focus. She has to fill it 3 1/8 times. So if she does fill it 4 complete times, that means she's not using 7/8 pint. So 7 times 2 is 14 over 8. So 1 6/8, which is the same as 1 3/4. Okay, so I was looking at the 3 1/8 that I said it would take to fill the fountain, and I wasn't thinking how much would be left. Okay, if I filled it 4 times, 4 minus 3 1/8, well, 8 eggs take away 1/8 is 7/8 left. 7/8 pint would be left. All right, number 20. What are the dimensions of a football field in feet? Well, right now they're in yards, right? So we got to change the yards into feet. So 53 1/3 yards. And there's 3 feet per yard. We can change this to an improper fraction greater than 1. 159, so 160 over 3 times 3 over 1. The 3's will divide out, leaving me 160 over 1, or 160 feet. So 160 feet. And 120, I know that there's 3 feet per yard, so just multiply 120 by 3, and we get 360 feet. So it's 160 by 360 feet. So a chalk line is placed around the perimeter of the field. What is the length of this line in feet? Well, we know perimeter is just adding up all the sides. Okay, so 360 and 360 is 720. 160 plus 160 is 320. So 1,040 feet. About how many laps around the perimeter of the field would equal 1 mile? Well, about 5 laps, right? Because basically we're saying 5,280 divided by 1,040. There's 5,280 feet in a mile, and our perimeter is 1,040 feet. So if we multiply by 5, we get about 5 times. Okay, we've got about 80 more feet to go. So a little over 5 laps. All right, 21. What is the result if you multiply a number of cups by 8 fluid ounces per 1 cup, and then multiply the result by 1 cup per 8 fluid ounces? Well, you just get back to what you started with, the number of cups. So same number of cups. Because let's just look at this. 8 fluid ounces per 1 cup times 1 cup per 8 fluid ounces. Well, fluid ounces cancel or divide out. The cups divide out. 8 times 1 is 8. 1 times 8 is 8. So we're back to 1. And 1 times whatever that number of cups is that number of cups. So our example could be, I don't know, let's say we start with 4 cups. So we're going to have 1 cup, 8 fluid ounces, times 1 cup. So yes, we notice that those cups divide out, the fluid ounces divide out. I'm left with cups, and 4 times 8 is 32. Divide by 8, I'm back to 4. Okay, and 22. 1 hour is 3,600 seconds, and 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Make a conjecture about how you can convert a speed of 15 miles per hour to feet per second. Then convert. Let's see, 15 miles times, let's say 1 mile. It's the same as 5,280 feet times some number of seconds per feet. So change 15 miles to feet. Okay, so let's go 5,280 times 15. $79,200. Then use 1 hour per 3,600 seconds. Okay, so we're going to change hour to 3,600 seconds. So that's the ratio we're going to use. Okay, and then we're going to simplify. $79,200 feet per 3,600 seconds. I had this in the wrong side. So. Okay. So we're going to divide by 3,600 seconds. And we should get, let's see, 79,200 divided by 3,600. All right. Well, we can probably get about 2 of those. Okay, so, sorry, no, I'm showing you the work. 79,200 divided by 3,600 seconds. So we're down to 7,200 divided by 3,600. Again, that's 2. So we're left with 22 feet per second. All right, so again, basically what we did was change the number of miles to feet, which left us 79,200 feet. And we're going to divide by 3,600 seconds. That's not times, it's equal. Okay, 15 miles times 5,280 feet is 79,200 feet. The miles cancel out or divide out. And then we have 3,600 seconds. Right, so that's it for lesson 7.3. So until our next time, I'll see you soon.